California sun gently warms my bare shoulders, and a light, fresh ocean breeze brings a salty scent to the empty highway near Santa Cruz. I am 18 years old. I study at Cabrillo College, and I am standing on the side of the road with my thumb up, trying to catch a ride to campus. I am absolutely not worried about my safety, because hitchhiking in our carefree 70s is a completely normal, everyday thing for any student. In the distance, an inconspicuous, modest car appears, and it smoothly slows down near me, raising a cloud of road dust. I lean down, and through the open window, I see an incredibly huge, bulky, but for some reason completely unthreatening guy behind the wheel. He smiles politely at me through his thick, clumsy mustache. He has a soft, surprisingly intelligent voice that doesn't match his size. On his nose sit neat, thick glasses, giving him the look of a typical, harmless straight-A student or a boring librarian. Do you trust the sincere, inviting smile of a stranger on an empty road? Always remember that the scariest predators in real life never look like creepy monsters from scary fairy tales. I carelessly get into the passenger seat, slam the heavy door shut, and smile back gratefully, feeling absolutely impenetrably safe next to this good-natured, calm giant. A strange, thick blanket is carelessly tossed on the back seat, but I don't give it any thought. You never know what a college student might be hauling around. The car pulls away, and he immediately starts a casual, intelligent conversation, joking, telling some interesting academic facts. His voice is lulling, and my last shred of vigilance falls completely and irrevocably asleep. I turn away to the window to relax and watch the California trees rushing by. And at that very moment, the atmosphere in the car cabin sharply, imperceptibly changes. The temperature seems to drop by 10 degrees. I turn my head back and see that his kind, goofy smile has completely vanished from his face. His eyes behind the thick lenses of his glasses have turned into two cold, bottomless abysses, in which there is absolutely nothing human, only primitive predatory hunger. The lock clicks. The door is locked. The handle no longer yields to my desperate jerks. Suddenly, this good-natured giant throws himself at me with inhuman, unbreakable, mechanical force, leaving me not a single chance of salvation in this steel trap. I sit behind the wheel of my car, smoothly shifting gears, and my brain, possessing an outstanding IQ of 145, calculates every detail. I calculate every single movement, every second of time, with absolute mathematical precision that is inaccessible to ordinary people. These naive, stupid girls happily get into my car themselves, deceived by my polite tone, my soft speech, and my goofy, clumsy appearance. My height of nearly 7 feet and my massive weight make any resistance from them completely laughable. I don't even have to exert any special effort. My huge hands are literally built to break them. They don't even realize that every time I look at them through my glasses, I don't see their young faces. I see the face of my domineering, despotic mother, Clarnell Strandberg, a woman who sadistically destroyed me morally from early childhood. She locked me in a dark, damp basement, called me a nothing, a psychopath, told me that I would never become a normal person, and now every cut-short life that I take on these deserted California roads is my personal, twisted way of taking revenge on her for every tear. I feel like a real god, an invisible, evil genius who dictates people's destinies with a single wave of his hand. And meanwhile, the stupid, clumsy police are rushing around in a blind panic throughout the county, trying to catch an incorporeal phantom. In the evenings, I go to our local bar, the Jury Room, order a beer, and generously buy drinks for the tired detectives who are investigating my very own case. I listen with indescribable internal delight as they discuss the elusive co-ed killer, share theories, and lament the lack of evidence. They don't even suspect that this very monster is sitting right next to them at this very moment, clinking mugs and nodding sympathetically. I am so much higher than them all intellectually that it's even starting to get boring. This game of cat and mouse has stopped bringing me pleasure. They will never catch me in their lives unless I want it myself and allow them to do so. In the police station, a persistent phone ring sounds. The duty officer picks up the receiver. His face changes, and he hands it to me. He whispers that someone is calling from Colorado from a payphone and wants to make a full confession to a whole series of murders of missing college girls. I take the receiver with annoyance, preparing to put down another crazy fanatic who decided to attract press attention amid a high-profile case. But from the speaker comes a painfully familiar, calm, measured, intelligent voice. He doesn't yell. He doesn't get confused in his testimony. He begins to methodically, detail by detail, list such terrifying, highly classified details of the crime scenes that only the medical examiners knew. My heart dropped somewhere down into my stomach, and an icy chill runs down my spine when I suddenly realize exactly who this voice belongs to. It's Big Ed, the very same Ed Kemper, our sweet, good-natured buddy. The guy who hung out with us at the Jury Room bar for years, brought us fresh donuts, took a keen interest in the caliber of our weapons, and gave me a friendly pat on the shoulder. I remembered with sheer horror how he laughed at my joke about the elusive killer, holding that damn sweet donut in his massive hand at that exact moment. I slowly sink into a chair, covered in cold, sticky sweat, while he absolutely calmly, without a single drop of emotion, tells me how he just beat his own mother to death with a hammer. He says he is waiting for the local police in the phone booth because he's just tired of killing and the game is over. The realization that the most ruthless, most cruel monster in California sat at the same table with us for years, drank beer at our expense, and laughed in our faces has forever destroyed my faith in humanity.
Victims, 10 people, including 6 young hitchhiking college students, including Cynthia Scholl, his own grandparents, as well as his own mother, Clarnell Strandberg, and her elderly friend. Criminal Edmund Emil Kemper, 24 years old, at the time of his arrest. Height 260 cm, IQ 145. Date of the crimes, from 1964 to 1973. Location, Santa Cruz, California. Investigation details. Kemper brilliantly used his imposing but harmless nerd appearance to easily abduct hitchhikers. He was friends with police officers at the local bar for years who never suspected him of being a serial killer even in their worst nightmares. Ultimately, he brutally murdered his mother and voluntarily surrendered to the police by calling from a payphone. Trial outcome: Ed Kemper was found sane, avoided the death penalty, and was sentenced to 8 life terms. To this day, he is in a maximum security prison and consistently waives his right to parole. If you watch the numerous chilling prison video interviews of Kemper, you will not see a twitchy, screaming madman on screen. You will see a polite, eloquent professor in glasses who talks about the most horrific atrocities absolutely calmly and with a frightening, chilling rationality, as if he were giving a lecture on anatomy. The case of Ed Kemper is an absolute phenomenon in the history of world criminal psychology, a visual aid of how the highest intellect can coexist with a complete, total absence of empathy. His monstrous actions are a classic psychological projection, elevated to an absolute. Deep, festering childhood trauma, constant humiliation, and severe emotional abuse by his domineering mother, Clarnell spawned a yawning, black void of concentrated hatred in him. Lacking the courage in his youth to directly confront the main aggressor in his life, he began to sublimate this rage onto defenseless girls who looked like her. He symbolically destroyed her image time after time, venting his resentment through violence. His friendship with the police was not just a social facade. He methodically studied their working methods from the inside to always stay one step ahead of the investigation. This exact fact, along with him ultimately surrendering himself to justice, speaks of a colossal morbid narcissism and a pronounced God complex. It was vital for him to prove his intellectual, undeniable genius to the whole world. He wanted to show that the entire justice system was powerless before his mind, and that only he himself, as a supreme being, could stop himself. This case is a terrifying, timeless reminder that psychopathy is not always accompanied by a crazed look and foaming at the mouth. Sometimes it wears neat glasses, smiles politely when it meets you, and possesses incredible, overwhelming erudition. When a talented artist creates a complex, multifaceted pencil drawing, he methodically applies hundreds of light, elegant strokes. He carefully builds the composition, meticulously hiding the true essence of the picture behind these strokes until the very last climactic moment. In the same way, a maniac with an incredible, outstanding intellect can painstakingly draw a fake portrait of a good-natured regular guy and a reliable friend for years. He applies strokes of politeness, charisma, and courtesy, making everyone around believe in this illusion. But sooner or later, behind this skillful, multi-layered mask, the face of absolute primordial evil will inevitably be exposed. And this illusion always crumbles with a deafening crash, leaving behind nothing but the endless horror of the naked truth. This was the Victim Path Project. Subscribe to the channel to safely dive into the frightening psychology of darkness with me. If this deep breakdown did not leave you indifferent, write the code word bartender in the comments so I can see who listened to this story to the very end. Take care of yourself and your loved ones, and be careful.